Something truly remarkable has been discovered, a famous letter from the Roman consul Lentulus, who claimed to have seen and described Jesus Christ in great detail. This eyewitness account offers a rare glimpse into what Jesus may have really looked like, providing a vivid portrayal that challenges the familiar modern depictions of him as a white man with blue eyes and blonde hair. But how accurate is this letter?
Who exactly was Lentulus, and why do most modern depictions of Jesus differ so dramatically from what this letter suggests? We will find out together in the new episode of Secret Origins. Welcome.
Life in Roman Judea around 2000 years ago was vastly different from what we know today. The region was a collection of small, scattered villages where most people depended on agriculture and herdic livestock. The plains and hills were well suited for grazing animals like goats and sheep, and news was often spread by herders and merchants traveling long distances across these lands. At this time, the Roman Empire was at the height of its power, expanding its territories to include much of the Middle East, including Judea, which we now know as ancient Palestine. Emperor Augustus appointed Herod, a local noble, to govern the region, and he ruled with an iron fist, ensuring Roman dominance over the people. Religiously, Judea was a melting pot. Although the majority of the population was Jewish, various religious cults and preachers competed for followers. It was in this context that a man named Jesus was born. Like other religious figures of his time, Jesus traveled and preached across Galilee, Judea, and Syria, but he stood apart from the rest because of the miracles he reportedly performed, healing the sick, turning water into wine, and calming storms. Imagine what it would have been like for a humble herder to witness Jesus walking on water.
According to the Gospel of Mark, when his disciples first saw him doing this, they thought he was a ghost.
But Jesus reassured them, saying, "Take courage, it is I, don't be afraid." Word spread quickly through the province about this man from Galilee, believed by many to be the Son of God. Crowds of people sought him out for guidance, healing, and insight. Some of his followers even chronicled his life in books that would later become known as the Gospels. However, these accounts focused mostly on his teachings and deeds, with little mention of his physical appearance. The New Testament, for example, offers only passing comments about what Jesus looked like. Even the prophet Isaiah hints that Jesus was not physically remarkable. He had no form nor comeliness. There is no beauty that we should desire him.
Could this be a deliberate attempt to protect Jesus from the Roman authorities? Perhaps by downplaying his appearance, his followers made him harder to recognize and therefore less of a threat to the powerful empire.
As the teachings and miracles of Jesus spread through Judea, it wasn't long before he attracted the attention of the Roman Empire. Though many local rulers might have overlooked him as just another preacher, the Roman administrative machine was always watching. At the time, Judea was under the rule of Emperor Tiberius, a ruler less interested in day-to-day affairs, but still running a vast and disciplined empire. To maintain control over their sprawling territories, Rome relied heavily on a vast network of informants and officials, constantly reporting back to the emperor and senate. One of these informants was Publius Lentulus, a Roman official stationed in Galilee. While much about Lentulus remains unclear, his biography nearly lost to time. There are scattered reports that suggest he served as prefect in Judea. Historians speculate that Lentulus might have been a young noble from Italy sent to the Middle East to further his career. It was during his time in this role that he encountered the man known as Jesus Christ, prompting him to write a detailed report to the Roman Senate. The letter, though not widely circulated at the time, is a rare account of Jesus' appearance, penned by someone who may have seen him firsthand. But how reliable is this letter? Was Lentulus truly an eyewitness, or could this document have been a much later fabrication? These questions have cast a shadow over the letter's authenticity for centuries.
Despite the doubts, the letter provides one of the earliest and most detailed descriptions of Christ.
Lentulus wrote the letter to ensure that the Roman authorities could identify and apprehend this figure who was making waves across the region. His account was likely meant to aid Roman soldiers in locating Jesus, an indicator that the man from Galilee had become significant enough to merit concern at the highest levels of Roman power. The letter begins with a straightforward report. Lentulus, the governor of the Jerusalemites, to the Roman Senate and people greetings. There appeared in these our days a man of great virtue called Jesus Christ, who is yet living amongst us, and the people accept it for a prophet, but his own disciples call him the Son of God. He raised the dead and cured all manner of diseases. Lentulus' description would have likely seemed astonishing, even unbelievable to the Roman Senate. A man who could raise the dead, cure diseases by mere touch, such feats would have sounded closer to the realm of myth than reality. Yet Lentulus pressed on, detailing not only Jesus' actions but his physical appearance, a crucial piece of information in a time when no portrait or image existed. He is a man of medium size, he has a venerable aspect, and his beholders can both fear and love him. This description directly contradicts other depictions that suggest Jesus was physically unremarkable. Lentulus paints a picture of a man who commanded attention, evoking strong emotions from those who saw him, be it fear, reverence, or love. This detail alone sets the letter apart from the more reserved accounts found in religious texts.
Lentulus offers a meticulous description of Jesus' features.
His hair of the color of a chestnut, full ripe and plain almost down to his ears, but from the ears downward somewhat curled with a bluish and bright reflection waving about his shoulders. In the midst of his head goeth a seam or partition of his hair, after the manner of the Nazarenes, his forehead very plain and smooth, his face without spot or wrinkle, beautified with a comely red, his nose and mouth so formed as nothing can be reprehended, his beard somewhat thick, agreeable in color to the hair of his head, not of any great length, but forked in the midst, of an innocent look, his eyes gray, clear, and quick. This detailed physical description is unlike anything we find in the Gospels, which remain curiously silent about Jesus' appearance. The Lentulus letter, on the other hand, gives us a vivid image. Jesus had wavy chestnut hair, parted in the style of the Nazarenes, with a neatly trimmed forked beard. His eyes were gray, an unusual color for a Middle Eastern man, clear and quick, reflecting an intelligent and lively mind. This account challenges many of the modern representations of Jesus, which often portray him as a fair-skinned, blue-eyed figure. Lentulus' letter suggests something entirely different, a man with the distinctive look of the region yet possessing an extraordinary presence.
Lentulus finishes by commenting on Jesus' personality and demeanor.
In reproving, he is severe; in admonishing, courteous and fair-spoken, pleasant in speech mixed with gravity. It cannot be remembered that any have seen him laugh, but many have seen him weep. In proportion of body, well-shaped and straight, his hands and arms very delectable to behold. In speaking, very temperate, modest, and wise. A man for his singular beauty surpassing the children of men.
This passage is especially striking. Lentulus reveals that Jesus was not just physically striking, but also carried himself with immense wisdom and authority.
He was courteous, never seen laughing but often seen weeping, a man deeply in tune with his emotions and the suffering of others. Even Lentulus, a Roman official, seems impressed by the sheer beauty and grace of this man, claiming he was unmatched by any other. Though short and succinct, this letter offers a remarkable glimpse into the true appearance and the character of Jesus. It remains one of the most important and controversial documents from early Christianity, offering a first-hand description from a Roman perspective that diverges significantly from the artistic depictions that followed centuries later.
What did Jesus look like according to scriptures?
If the letter of Lentulus was right, how does this change the way we see Jesus? The Gospels, while detailed in recounting his teachings and miracles, leave his physical appearance largely shrouded in mystery. Why is that? Could it be that the early followers of Jesus were more focused on his spiritual presence than his physical traits? Or maybe the Jesus we envision today is more influenced by centuries of art and cultural adaptation than by historical reality? Jesus was the leader of a mystery cult, completely new at the moment, and only his most worthy disciples received the secret lore that he dispensed. The secret wisdom acquired by the initiates could not be freely transmitted or even written down, causing most of their arcane wisdom to be lost in time. Jesus was a wise master, and although his religion was intended for the whole world, at first it was shared by only a select few, and they barely give any hint as to what his master looked like. This gave the artists little information to go by when creating images of Jesus. Some of the earliest known artistic representations of Jesus date to the mid-3rd century, that is more than 2 centuries after his death. These are the paintings in the ancient catacombs of Saint Domitilla in Rome, first discovered some 400 years ago. The most common images of Jesus at the time drew directly from the Gospels. This means that the paintings depict Jesus as the Good Shepherd, a young, short-haired, beardless man with a lamb around his shoulders. Another rare early portrait of Jesus was discovered in 2018 on the walls of a ruined church in southern Israel. Painted in the 6th century AD, it is the earliest known image of Christ found in Israel and portrays him with a shorter, curly hair and no beard, a style that was common to the eastern region of the Byzantine Empire, especially in Egypt and Syria, Palestine region, but disappeared later. The long-haired, bearded image of Jesus that emerged beginning in the 4th century was influenced heavily by representations of Greek and Roman gods, particularly the all-powerful Greek god Zeus. At that point, Jesus started to appear in a long robe, seated on a throne, such as in the 5th century mosaic on the altar of Santa Pudentiana Church in Rome, and sometimes with a halo surrounding his head. From this, the image of Jesus evolved to the white man with blonde hair and a trimmed beard that we know from popular culture. This was based not only on previous images, but on literal reading of the Gospels, which highlighted the light emanating from Jesus. Matthew mentions that his face shone like the sun, and in the book of Revelation it is said that his head and his hairs were white like wool, as white as snow, and his eyes were as flame of fire, and his feet like unto fine brass, as if they burned in a furnace, and his voice as the sound of many waters. Of course, this did not mean that he literally was white with white hair and shone like the sun, but that he was figuratively the light of God, the wisdom of the Lord shining unto the children of men.
This is yet another example that shows that the Gospels and holy books are often written in riddles or through symbolism and should not be taken at face value. If we strip away the centuries of artistic interpretations, what remains is a figure whose legacy isn't tied to how he looked, but how he lived. Perhaps this is the mystery that the Bible invites us into, the idea that Jesus' influence transcends his physical form. And yet, human curiosity drives us to fill in the blanks.
The question of Jesus' physical appearance doesn't end with the letter of Lentulus or the sparse hints found in the Bible. Over the centuries, new mysteries have emerged, each raising fresh questions about how Jesus may have actually looked. Among these, the Shroud of Turin stands out as one of the most famous and debated relics in Christian history. But could it provide real insight into the appearance and race of Jesus? First, let's think about this. Why is there so much fascination with the idea of capturing Jesus' face? Does it stem from a deeper human desire to connect with a physical image of the divine? The Shroud of Turin, believed by some to be the burial cloth of Christ, claims to offer that image a faint, almost ghostly imprint of a man who appears to have been crucified. To many, this is a holy relic, offering a miraculous glimpse of the Savior himself. But to others, it's a medieval forgery. What does this mysterious artifact tell us about Jesus' appearance?
The man on the shroud is often described as tall, with long hair and a beard, strikingly similar to Western depictions of Christ.
However, the racial features remain ambiguous. Could this image truly represent a man from the 1st century Judea, or has it been influenced by the same cultural forces that shaped later artistic portrayals? Let's consider the race of Jesus for a moment. Historically, Jesus would have been a Jewish man living in the Middle East, yet Western art has frequently depicted him with lighter skin and features more aligned with European ideals of beauty. This has sparked significant debate, especially in modern times, about the impact of race on religious imagery. Does the shroud reinforce these westernized depictions, or does it offer a closer reflection of Jesus' true ethnic background? While the shroud remains a subject of deep faith and skepticism, scientific investigations have only deepened the mystery. Carbon dating tests suggest it may date from the medieval period, yet there are still ongoing debates about the authenticity of those results. Could the shroud be a relic created in response to the Western desire for a visible Christ, just as the artistic depictions of the time were?
But here is the real question. Does the race of Jesus really matter? For some, it's a crucial part of understanding who he was, grounding him in a specific historical and cultural context. For others, the focus should remain on his teachings and actions.
These visual depictions, whether from the Shroud of Turin or centuries of art, shape the way people relate to Jesus even today. In fact, the widespread image of fair-skinned, European-looking Jesus was influenced not just art, but theology and culture as well. It's led to entire generations seeing Jesus through a specific lens, one that may not reflect the historical reality. Both the Shroud of Turin and the Letter of Lentulus portray a long-haired man, which contradicts all the classical paintings of the Byzantine and later periods. But who is right? As we've seen, the true appearance of Jesus is still shrouded in mystery.
Was Lentulus' letter the only authentic account, or is there more we have yet to discover? What do you think? Let us know in the comments down below, and don't forget to subscribe for more similar episodes. Keep your minds open, and until we meet again.